Hello, and welcome to the Magical Holistic Healing Arts Podcast. I'm Lynn Hicks.
I'm Erica Hicks.
And we're a mother-daughter duo curiously investigating the healing and expressive arts so that we can have a more positive momentum of our body, mind, and spirit.
And as always, we're proud distributors of Kangen Water, the life-changing elixir to our lives. And if you want to use no chemicals in your house, help save the planet, and make a lot of money, check the links below.
What a great episode it was today with Michael Vasquez and his deep coaching. I have been around him in Pennsylvania. I did his float tank, I did some polarity, and now he has moved into coaching. And he's just a wonderful little master that I find so fascinating to watch his journey and his nuggets you will hear today.
Yes, this is my mom's good friend back in Pennsylvania, and he's really shifted with the times on what he wants to do with his life. He had a float tank and realized that he wanted to travel more and have more freedom, and now he's in coaching where he can do anywhere at any time and also help the collective in this deeper, interesting way. So it's such a great episode. He has so many knowledgeable things to say. So get your earbuds and your pencil and listen to Michael today with us and enjoy.
On this episode, we have Michael Vasquez, and he is a life mastery coach. And I had some great interactions with him back in Pennsylvania. And we're going to just let him take it away and say, Michael, what is your magical art?
My magical art that I recently, within the past 2 years, I really kind of stood up in and realized is that I can connect with people in conversation and really allow them for them to be a mirror, for them to see a deeper part of themselves, and specifically in the aspect of like transformation and self-mastery.
Yeah, I think that's something we all need to tap into, our self-mastery. Are these just people that are looking for transformation? I remember off camera you were talking about relationships too that you help.
Relationships is a really big part of it. The three things that I kind of like focus on is overall, like when we expand our consciousness, which is from a deeper place within us, like health, relationships, and behavior. And if everyone stands up in that they are their own masters in their life and they take into responsibility the smallest behaviors, no matter how small, it creates the foundation for your life. And when you apply mastery to the simplest things in your life, like diet in the health field, or your movement, or how you're moving throughout your day, into the simple things, and then the relationships are a huge part of our life. And the mastery really comes into being authentic and being truthful, and also that place of compassion that we can enter into, and using relationships as a tool for consciousness expansion. And then our own self-behavior, which is really only, we really only us know really what's going on in our mind when we lay our head down to go to sleep at night. You know, it's the things that we know that we want to be doing. It's the things that we put the word should in front of all the time. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. But there's an evolution that happens within us when all those shoulds turn into want or I don't want, and the wants start to happen, and the don't wants you steer away from. And then when you're on that path and all the shoulds wash away and the can and can'ts wash away, and it's either I want or I don't want, it's a beautiful place to live your life from.
Oh, that was well stated, Michael.
Cool. Glad you got to understand it.
When I last saw you, you were doing a lot of food education.
Still doing that.
Okay.
I find it to be a huge place that we can master ourselves. I just kind of took notice of some of like what we would call, like, you know, the world would call successful. Most of the time, food is a huge part of people's lives, and it is truly something that when we gain mastery over that, it brings a huge level of self-mastery to our life. And just, it was a path that I walked for a really long time, and how messed up I was in food, and we don't even see it. And then when we turn that point of our life where we really want to look at everything that goes into our body, how much we eat, how we eat, when we eat, it really can bring a level of self-mastery to our life. And a lot of people don't want to look at their life so nitpicky. They just want to come home and they're done with the day and they don't want to think anymore. They're done. They're fried. They don't want to put any more effort into thinking about all these different aspects of our life. But those aspects of our life are the things that are going to break you free to be able to possibly, if you want, step away from everything that's draining you in the first place. So you're actually living a fulfilled life and you step into a job or start a business, into something that you're not coming home at the end of the day feeling like you are done. And then the level of mastery can go into all the different levels of your life because that becomes your life. And it's just a path that I walked. I had to heal myself from like really, really, really deep chronic illness, mental problems, like even spiritual dysfunction, all of it. And food was a huge component of it. So it is a huge piece of what I work with people on. And I went and studied under the Hippocrates Health Institute. So I got a good grounding in a particular way of life that I've seen personally help extremely ill people get better. And it's not like all that I do. It's not like just food. It's like a different aspect of food. It's like the energy behind what you're doing and why you are doing it and what's making you do it in terms of that. If I ask somebody a question, what's the first thing you want to stop doing in terms of what you're putting in your body? Everybody has an answer. I don't need to be a health coach in order to tell you that and how to eat. We all have that answer. Whether it's chocolate or eating too much of this, these little changes in our life shift our energy. So all bigger aspects of ourself can come through. And it all starts with just simple questions like that for a person to be able to see themselves. So yeah, the health thing is a big thing, still doing it. And it's something I really enjoy. And it's a big passion of mine because food is a huge part of my healing. So.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that food is really important for all levels, your spiritual health, your mental health, your physical health, because people, like you said, they're just drained and they don't want to do that part of their mastery. But I love how you said food is part of the mastery. I mean, my mom and I, we've had food health issues, skin problems from our food since I was little. And so it is something that you have to really own and really understand why you're doing this and the intention behind these things, because it is annoying. I am gluten-free. I have to be that person that goes to the party and can't eat anything and have that discipline and realize This is better for myself, this is better for my body, my mental health, and X, Y, and Z. So it is so important. And I think like saying self-mastery for food, I think like clicked for me really nicely.
It's a beautiful place for us as human beings to focus a lot of our energy when we don't know where to look in our life, and we know we want something to change and we don't know where to go because we're in the age of information right now. Astrologists call it whatever age of whatever we're in. Every different segment of race has a different way of looking at what's going on the planet right now. But this is like the age of information. And you go on social media 30 seconds, you're being sold 30 different ways to do one thing. And it's a very simple path. We don't know where to go, but if you don't know where to go and you just focus simply on what's in front of you, most people, we can take ourselves a really long way without any external guidance, without anybody telling you what to eat or what to change or anything. So the type of coaching I do, I don't want to tell you anything. I want you to discover it all within yourself. And then when you get to the point where you might need now I don't know quite where to go because, the world is an interesting place right now. And it's like 90% of the stuff out there is toxic and we're being sold a bunch of garbage and all this stuff. That's when I'll step in. But it takes a lot of time for someone to even break into that aspect of themselves to be able to do it. So it's a beautiful thing to look at in your life. And some people want to go for it and some people don't. So
Well, it's funny because we always learned it as the lowest level of nutrition. We had high impressions as the first and foremost. Why yoginis can live on air is that when you're taking in the meditation and the mastery.
Yeah, the breatharians.
But high impressions are that they're the meditation, the music, the consciousness. That's the highest nutrition. Then comes movement, because you oxygenate, and that's going to shift your energy from high to low to power to not. And then on the final level was the nutrition, which took energy to create energy.
Yeah.
So it's very important to be aware of how you foot in your body, but it is really just the porthole in.
yeah, totally. I mean, food is light, food is wind, food is a lot of things. We just don't look at it like that. We must nourish our bodies on many different ways, and many people know how to nourish themselves. They know if they spend time with this person, they're messed up, and then it turns bad choices. Or if they spend time with this person, it does nourish them the right way. Or if they go for a walk, or anything, these small little details in their life, is just getting to the mastery of doing it and following through with it.
And so how do you really help people? I mean, just in an accountability way, or?
The accountability is a little bit there, but when people work with me one-on-one, this is one-on-one what I'm saying. Groups is different. There's something that I do called deep coaching. It's a very unique form of coaching. It's where I connect with whoever it is that I'm working with, and we create a space that allows them, if they are ready to go there, to speak from their inner being, to speak from different aspects of themselves. There's so much inside of most of us that wants to be said that's just not being said. And when that starts to unravel, it's like an onion being peeled back one layer at a time. And all of a sudden, their answers just start coming out. And pretty much as the facilitator of that space, my sole job is really to nurture and understand what's happening within them, and to kind of get out of the way of my own self. Some coaches really are process goal-oriented driven, and there's time and room for that. But the deep coaching that spawns some of the other things I work with you on is to see what happens within that space for you, and then we can connect the dots later on. But the first steps is to really speak from your place of being, where beyond the programming, beyond the expectations, beyond the living for this person or that person said, or I was taught this or taught that. Before all of that, there is a place that we can access and speak from. And deep coaching allows that to come out. It was developed by a guy, his name's Leon Vanderpool, and I studied with him for a long time. And I really just fell in love with the work, because I originally was trained as a traditional life coach, life executive team. And the typical life coaching was great. I was having amazing success with people. They were really doing good work. But when I came across his work, I just was like, and the body work that I was telling you about, the polarity that I used to do, that deep energetic place that people used to slip into, that can happen in these sessions. And I realized, like, this is what pulled me into this work. It's just like using a different tool for the same thing that I used to do. People used to hop off my table and be like, I have to do this right now, because they're speaking from a very pure, clear place. And same thing, these sessions can really speak from a place of almost silence in a way.
No, and I would agree with that, because I did get polarity from Michael along the journey to his present, stuff. And it's so fun to watch you evolve and see, because I told him then he was a gifted master, and he would look at me like I was crazy. But at any rate, it was like that. I mean, that's the depth of what it is to get past all of those programs. And there's many ways to do that, and many times where you want to be conscious, or you want to be laying on a table, or you want to participate. But by far and large, the transformation of mastery comes from you participating fully in your experience. So are people doing like, so just share some of,
Well, I truly love that you are allowing people the space. Like, all you're doing is creating a space. And I think we need a lot of that space right now, and what's going on. Everyone's beliefs being challenged. All their programming, all the things you just named is being challenged. And for you to have a space like this where they're doing all the work and you're just like, the container, the guard, or whatever, the angel. Yeah.
It's a safe, non-judgmental, pure place for a person to enter into. And there's some things that we do together to allow that to enter into. And if the person is ready, beautiful things can happen. Sometimes it takes sessions for them to open up and allow that in. But the space is there for them if a person wants to go there. And listening is a beautiful gift that we can give someone. That a mentor in my life, he's a shaman from Colombia, and he's a man that I've been working with for years now with the plant medicine ayahuasca. And something he says very often is, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them in accordance with what we're given. And every time he says it, I'm just like, I need to shut up more and listen more.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one for our listeners to hear and for the world to hear right now. And
well, and in the silence of things is where we really get to know ourselves and others and all of it. It is a silence, and it's so funny because we're in such an active world. And yet the knowingness or the unraveling or the deeper expression or uncovering is in the silence. So we're torn between these two experiences.
Yeah, it is. Well, and that's what it is. Yeah, the paradox of the world, right?
That's what really drew me to the work is, when I had a business at my house, I wanted to help people in the same capacity, which is why I had the float tank. Silence. It's like I've been messing around with silence and this type of stuff for a long time, but I want to be free. I want to be able to travel and work, and I want to be able to move around, and I just found this, and I can work with people anywhere I go, and I can reach people outside of the country, all around the country, anywhere. And that's really what I wanted. And so it's a very interesting thing to get into and to provide people with. And now groups are a little different, but for the one-on-ones, it's a pretty unique experience.
Yes. I mean, we need all the coaches. I mean, everyone can be a coach, and there still will be many people to heal. We've had some coaches on here on our podcast already, but to hear everyone's different spin and uniqueness, and you said the deep counseling or the deep work that you do, and how you can get there from not even meditating, like you said, just the silence in the space. Anyone could even just do that at their home by themselves, is create a space for themselves just to listen and to journal or to do whatever they need. And and then you can have Michael, who comes in and helps you look at your mirror and look at these things that are just stuff you want to change in your life. I mean, I saw a statistic that was 53% of Americans like you want to change their career. They want more time, they want more freedom, and one step of doing that is self-development.
Yeah, now's the time more than ever for the unique individualism of everyone to offer what they were here to offer. And that's a business in itself. It's just getting to that place, because we've been living a programming. I was a Marine. I almost went into law enforcement. I was on a completely different end of the world. And then I had just I call this moment of surrender where life just cracked me right in half. And I had to pick myself back up off the floor and shake myself loose. And I totally went, talk about a shift. But that was the programming. That was all the stuff I thought I was good at, all the prior stuff that I was building up, and I had to go learn a whole new I had to go learn from who I was, things that fulfilled me, and I found, wellness in that way. It was an interesting shift, but everyone can do it. It's really a choice, and providing someone the place for them to choose and to realize that it's a choice is an interesting thing too. It really is just a choice, and it's each person's choice to make.
Well, and it's fascinating when I see you, because when he had shown me pictures of him as a Marine, and like you have such a gentle, warm opening. Like I could see why this deep coaching, it is your mastery. To think of you, I didn't see you in the other world that you were.
That's why I was so sick. That's why I got so sick,
Yeah.
My wife, Nikki's the same thing. She was in an attorney for years, and now she's full-time, started her own business as an animal communicator. And she never saw herself doing that either. And her old job made her sick, straight up. Like random illnesses, these weird symptoms, you can go chase them your whole life. And then you just look at like, wait, what I'm doing is like not giving me wellness,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're both doing stuff. So and that's when the healing really comes in.
You have that space and that time, and I love choice. I was having a conversation with someone and about that, because that's all life is it is a choice, and you can either decide for yourself or decide for someone, like the program, like we were saying, like you are choosing it for yourself or you're choosing it for someone else. And that's where we really have to get clear on our intentions and our goals and where we want to go, and really decide, like, I do want to make a change in our life. I mean, we have a great community that's all about that too. It's like we are choosing be the change you want to see in the world. So that's what you're helping people realize is like, we want to be the change. We don't want to be the program. We want to be ourselves.
And in the process of becoming that, it takes sacrifices and letting go of a lot of stuff. It takes not being able to do some things for a while the emergence is happening. If you have to sell everything you own for a while so you can step away from what you're doing, or if whatever it takes, whatever that means for you. Some people don't want to do that. Then they come up with an excuse. Oh, well, I can't do that because what about this? Or, it's just excuses, because you can. And a lot of times people they started so many arrows, like, it's like, I always say it like, hey, you shoot an arrow, it's going to land. So all the choices that you made prior to this, some of the arrows haven't landed yet in your life. So you kind of have this period of time where like all the consequences from all the choices you ever made and everything, things are going to be kind of mucky for a while until that moment happens that you're receiving the consequences of the conscious choices that you're making. But in that time of like you're catching arrows out of left field that you forgot you shot 2 years ago, that period of time is really interesting. And that's when you have to really have a practice, a discipline in your life, and trust the process and allow yourself to fall apart and put yourself back together again over and over and over. And then you start to step away and you're like, okay, I'm not getting really hit anymore. This seems to be right. And then you just always remind yourself, like, I am creating my life with every single thing that I'm doing. So if you're in that place, there's no anxiousness about the future. Because if you're creating your life from a conscious place, all the arrows you're firing are going to hit the target, because there's no reason to fear about the future. And there's no reason to look back on the past, because you've kind of shed that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Really beautiful. He always is. That's what I like about Michael. He just comes from nowhere.
Arrow thing I read in a book somewhere. I forget where it was. I just kind of took it. I really liked the metaphor. It was about karma, I think. I read somewhere that he was using it about karma. it's kind of what I'm using it for here, but not so much about karma, more about just, if I kick a wall, my foot's going to hurt, and, that arrow lands really quick, but sometimes we fire arrows 3 years down the road, things land.
And it's that lull period that I think is the hardest for people to really hang tight and to have that mindset, like keep going, or instead of thinking like, what did I do? Why am I doing this? And just to have that support or that, guidance from you, Michael, and your services to get people to the other side. Cause what's that saying? It's like, the darkest night before the brightest day, or I don't know.
Yeah, the dark nights of the soul, you're getting close when those things are happening.
Yeah. Because the dawn is there.
Mm-hmm.
It normally can happen when we have stopped something for a long time that we know that isn't good for us. And then it's like we do it again after like a while, and it crushes us, like to the point where like you never are going to do that ever again. Like there's no doubt in your flipping mind. Like those dark nights, they can really, because the pendulum's swinging then. It's like you're like here. And then when you're like dinging to both sides, it's time to like bring it back down into the center. So those dark nights, they're kind of a sign of something is really shifting within you, because that test or that moment wouldn't be happening if you weren't stirring the pot. You would just be swinging to one place. You'd be in that one reality. If you're trying to create something new, that's when things are going to ding all around like a rubber ball for a while you threw in the gym or something.
Now, I love that. And I think it's important that we realize, even I would say, our world has like a dark night of the soul kind of going on right now.
Yeah.
Because there is that wanting to shift, and there's the old, and, the way we've done things is so well in our system, and we like to have patterns. So when you do actually go to shift it, there is that opening of like confusion or what way to go, or uncertainty that, in its highest form is just the mystery of life, but uncertainty is much scarier sounding, I think, than mystery. And so when I think of these things, I'm like, let the mystery unfold. Like we like when we don't know the end of the movie. Yet at the same time, we get afraid that we don't know the end, but yet we like it. So we're in that kind of world right now where I think things are really shifting, and part of our mission is to share people like you and ideas to help people get through and get to the world that they want to create, because we are in charge.
Yeah, things are becoming the energy right now is really trying to push us black or white. Are you black or are you white? And if we want to live in the gray, the neutral place, it takes some skill now, because the conversations that are happening, the things that are being put in place, it's like it's to the point now where like if people see you there, you're gonna be in that box and we're in this box, and then where's the box that like, hey man, I'm with both boxes,
Yeah.
And that is the place that's being kind of squeezed out of the toothpaste tube right now. And once again, it's just like understanding that this is all just a process and an infinite, like wordless, an uncomprehendable game. And somehow there's solitude in that. It's just to keep focusing on the inside, You can focus on drinking more water. If you're like a person that is a mess and all you do, and we work on just drinking water, your brain can only focus on one thing. So all this external stimuli that you're getting bombarded with, if you just have something positive to look at within yourself, it'll change you. It will. And so right now it's a good tool to have, So, I even get hit with it because I recently went out on social media like a lot, and I'm posting a lot on it, and I'm building my brand on social media. So I got to deal with that stuff that's getting hit. And sometimes I come off of it and I'm like, I feel like crap, So Interesting times.
It is. It's true. This whole social media thing, it just elevates what's happening no matter what it is. I mean, most of the time it's bad, but like even good. And it's just, like you said, the information age is just so intense sometimes that, yeah, just the solitude, the silence, those choices are so important right now. And I really think, yeah, it's just something to keep hitting home on this episode. Like, go sit and be alone, be quiet. Like, give yourself some space just to be for a second.
Yeah, and I think the deep, connections with people, because that's also something else. And like your coaching, and even with all my friends, the deep connection with people, to remember that these black and whites aren't really as important as they,
All an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It only means something if you say that it does.
Yeah.
So if you say that it doesn't mean anything, then it doesn't mean anything.
Which is so simply funny.
If you're blue and the other person's like the opposite of blue, and you two are put in the box, and you're like, you two are going to spend the rest of your life together, really quick, it's not going to matter anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that so when I do the deep work, there's no suggestion, there's no advice on my part. And then when we connect later on, because I work with people for at least like 3 months at a time. And then when we connect back, and like more of like the mentor calls that we have, one thing that I really I normally suggest is someone developing something in their life that when they start their day puts them in a good mood. And it sounds so simple, but if you start your day in a good mood, then you're going to be making your choices from then on out in a good mood until something might crash or whatever. Life's not easy, whatever. But if you just start your day without placing yourself in that place, then your day is like just going to be a day. But every single day, if you have this practice that puts you into a place where you want to make your choices from in your decisions, it's a totally different paradigm than if you just get up and grab a cup of coffee. It's really doing something with intention. And like part of mine, I have this like little sequence thing that I do. It's something that I do. And when I travel, I don't do it. But when I'm home, I do. And I pet my dogs for like 5 to 10 minutes. And nothing else exists in my reality other than like I just scratch them and make them feel really good. And I give them a massage, and I watch all their like intricate little facial expressions, and I watch them breathe. And my reality is strictly me petting my dogs and me. Nothing else exists in my life. And I get so happy. And it starts my day off in a good place. And then I have this, what people would call meditation, but it's something I do that I just developed on my own. And I go to that after that. But the first thing I do is I find my dogs, and I connect with them, and my wife. It's like a little family thing, and nothing else happens until that happens. And it really is life-changing, because the intention is connected to it too. I'm not just going up to them and I connect into this space with them.
Yeah.
So, and they know it too. They look for it and they wait for it.
Well, that's brilliant advice. It's funny because my other girlfriend, Christy from the Center of Creators, she will not open her eyes until she feels that prosperous, rich feeling, of abundance, of love, of warmth, of happy, of, whatever level that is. She will not open her eyes. And it's very similar.
That's like the smartest thing.
She said, that's become her morning practice, is like, until I feel that, which is very similar. And you're exactly right. That's probably one of the greatest nuggets that we've heard. Hey listeners, did you know that we sell Kangen water ionizers? We consider it the #1 sustainability tool, because not only do we get to drink the best hydrogen-rich antioxidant water, we also get to detox our home from all the chemicals and cleaners get to use some of the 7 kinds of water for different health ails, and we save the earth of plastic and toxins.
Yes, and who doesn't want to help this earth back to homeostasis, just like our bodies? Researchers show now that hydrogen is the #1 antioxidant you can add to your life. So what easier way than just changing the type of water you're drinking for you and your family? This water is microclustered, so it can actually hydrate you at a cellular level, helping your longevity, your immunity, and your vitality. So if you want to help us spread the awareness of Kangen water ionizers, and purchase one today, check the links below and join our team and help us spread the word about healing water. All right, let's get back to the magic.
The first 15 minutes when you're up, it is so important. It's when you're the strongest creator. Like, and before you go to bed, because you're entering into sleep and you're coming out of sleep. And yeah, there's a million different theories out there about what happens in sleep and all this kind of stuff, which whoever you want to listen to. But the fact is like something really interesting goes on when you sleep, and it's really important. So let's go into it in the right place and let's exit it in the right place instead of just being like whatever about it.
I need to hear this, so thank you. My bedtime routine, I'm pretty good at morning routine, but bedtime routine is definitely, I love how you put that. Like, yeah, sleep is it's nourishing, it's regenerative, it's detox, it's doing everything. Our soul's traveling, whatever. Yeah, so doing everything. So the before you sleep and that after you sleep are very sacred times, and I think that's something we need to realize as humanity more, to really acknowledge that.
In my opinion, the 2 strongest moments in your life to think about your life.
I love that. Well,
I do.
we are at the top of the episode today. Michael, are there any last nuggets? You just left our listeners such a great tool, but is there any last words you want to leave with them before we finish?
Taking care of yourself is taking care of the world.
Oh, I love that. Well, I am so happy to have reconnected, so thank you very much.
Very, very welcome.
The episode isn't quite over yet, listeners.
Or YouTubers.
If you haven't given us a like, subscribed, left us a review, or commented on any platform, we would really appreciate you showing us some love here at the Magical Holistic Healing Arts. And remember, Kangen water and our grab bag for the podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and stay vibrant out there.